Welcome, you're watching the Newshour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. Yesterday, the new Parliament building was finally inaugurated amid a boycott call by 20 parties. To have partisan politics over the Parliament is one thing. But since then, a dangerous effort has started to inject a deeply divisive narrative of caste and religion. From claims that only priests of one religion were allowed to erroneously asserting that somehow the religious chants and Sengol's installation are attempts to encourage Brahmanism by the government. And all of this is completely divorced from facts. But then, it's quite clear that now in politics in our country, facts aren't really allowed to come in the way of a good spin.
इंडिया का कोई रिलीजन नहीं है. इंडिया सब रिलीजन को मानता है. अगर कोई रिलीजन को नहीं मानता, इंडिया उसको भी मानता है. मगर अफसोस हुआ देश के प्रधानमंत्री, आप सिर्फ एक ही मजहब के लोगों को लेकर गए लोकसभा में.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी का न लोकतंत्र में विश्वास है, न जनता पर विश्वास है. इसीलिए राजतंत्र के रास्ते पर आगे बढ़ रही है और साथ ही साथ संविधान के विरोध में तंत्र निरपेक्ष भावना से हटकर न केवल राजतंत्र की ओर बढ़ रही है, बल्कि ब्राह्मणवाद की ओर भी बढ़ रही है.
इस तरह से विपक्ष को मजबूर कर दिया बाहर रहने के लिए और धर्मों के लोगों को बाहर रहने के लिए. तो आरएसएस जो चाहता था कि विभाजन हो जाए, तो आज विभाजन हो गया जब नई संसद का उद्घाटन हो रहा है.
So what are the facts? The facts are that the inauguration ceremony of the Parliament saw multi-faith prayer being organized. Not just Muslims, Hindus, Christians and Sikhs, but in fact Jain Munis were there, as were Buddhist monks and even a Jewish rabbi. In fact, religious hymns and chants from 12 different faiths and religions were made a part of the opening ceremony of India's Parliament. Then, of course, the favorite whipping boy, the imposition of Brahmanism. This concept was argued from the image of the Adinams installing the Sengol, while deliberately omitting mention of the fact that Adinams aren't even Brahmins by any stretch of the imagination. They actually come from the backward communities of Tamil Nadu. But is that even relevant? Why was this angle even brought in? Except to tarnish a ceremony that was meant to stand for all of India and peddle the favorite divisive theories which for years have sustained the worst kind of communal and casteist politics. The thing is that can this effort now go unchallenged?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, joining us on the debate, Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP, SS Sampath Kumaran, research scholar and Dharmik Pandit, Advocate Adil Hassan, spokesperson of AIMIM, Riju Datta, national spokesperson of the TMC. I want to start with you, Mr. Ravi Srivastav, political analyst. What exactly is the Brahmanism in the entire ceremony, if you would care to explain? Who's the Brahmin and how was Brahmanism being imposed on India's parliament?
On the TV, it appeared to me that it's not a udghatan of the parliament, but it is some kind of a dharma sansad being organized. Because since beginning, some sadhus, some babas in that typical attire, they were only roaming around and doing some havan and some puja. What Parliament has to do with the Havan and Puja?
Sir,
the Parliament
I will ask
belongs
that,
to all
but
the
can you begin by actually explaining to us where was Brahmanism brought in?
No, Brahmanism naturally, because all those people who were brought in, this is the typical way of doing inaugurations, that you call some Brahmin and do some puja before the start. But is this Parliament a particular religion's Parliament? This
Sir,
parliament belongs to all
with the
religions,
greatest of
all
respect,
sects,
perhaps your
all
general
community,
knowledge can only be rivaled with your idea of religion and religious
all kind
rituals.
of insult,
Because
all kind of insult to
no
the
Greh
SC,
Pravesh can exclusively be done by Brahmins,
bringing
or that
all
these rituals
Brahmins
have
here.
anything to do with Brahmins. Let's first bring in Mr. Sampath Kumaran to clear the air on this. Sir, these rituals of starting something new, of inaugurating a new building, is this Brahminism? Are Adhinams Brahmins who are imposing Brahminism on all of secular India? So you're muted. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Let me come to the point. So the thing is, the parliament is made Brahminism is what the issue is. Now, let me bring some points in this. The first name of the Petam is Adhinam. It is not Adhinam actually. Adhinam is the name of the Petam. And that is derived from a Sanskrit word that is Asamantat Dhihi Naha. This is the derivation. Yasmat Petat Tati Adhinam, that is Dharma Petam Ityartha. This is the derivation of that. That is which guides the disciples along the right path. So that is what the meaning of this Adhinam Petam. This Petam is headed by Shivacharyas, and they purely follow the Shaiva Sampradaya, and they are based on the 63 Nayanmars who are from Tamil Nadu religion, and they have sung so many, around 12,000 of the Tevars they call. So this is based on these 12,000 hymns from the Tamil language. So the aim of this is to bring the meaning of the Veda in local language, in the language which they are easy to understand. So that is what this meaning behind this. So now, they are not actually said to be Brahmin as per my understanding. So they are purely Shivacharyas. They have performed, they have a danda, that is a stick on them, with them. So they, whenever that there is a change of the dynasty, they will give this, hand over this dharma danda to the next one.
All right. So that's as far as the entire argument of Brahminism is concerned. Hope this has been educative, Ravi Srivastav.
Changing here, madam. Can you tell which dynasty is changing here? Which dynasty is changing here?
Not here.
Aware the Sengol,
this was given from Britishers before when the dynasty has been changed from Britishers to India.
It's a propaganda stick only.
All right. Sanju Verma, why was a solemn ceremony turned into a dharma sansad? So for Brahminism we've come into, and there is a secular character. Why are you getting in a religious ceremony into it? Sanju Verma.
Okay. Padmaja, first and foremost, let me say that, the word secular was inserted into the constitution only in 1976 by way of the 42nd Amendment. But if you read the 1994 judgment of S.R. Bommai versus the Union of India, amongst many other things, it has also taken on board what exactly does secularism mean. The judgment clearly says that India does not have a state religion. That being said, there is nothing mentioned about whether the Prime Minister or his Council of Ministers can or cannot practice their religion, including wearing their Hindutva proudly on their sleeves, like Prime Minister Modi did while laying the Shilanyas or the foundation ceremony of the Ram Janmabhoomi way back in 2019. I just want to ask Mr. Srivastav one thing. Do you remember 2016? Please let me finish, sir, then you can respond. Padmaja, what is this?
Okay, one at a time, please. Yes, finish.
Please. May I please finish, Mr. Srivastav? Thank you. 2016, I remember vivid images of Prime Minister Narendra Modi serving langar to, the poor and the marginalized at a Gurudwara. And the Gurudwara was the Golden Temple in Amritsar. Then if you remember, in 2018, he visited Indonesia. He actually paid obeisance at the Grand Istiqlal Mosque. If you remember, just last year, he celebrated via video conferencing the 150th Jayanti of Jain Muni Vallabh Surishwarji. Then if you recall, in 2022 February and Jan 2023, Prime Minister Modi के बिहाफ पर अजमेर दरगाह पर चादर चढ़ाई गई थी. I'm giving these various examples to show you that secularism means respecting all religions, but it does not mean undermining your own religion. If Brahmins or Shivacharyas were called to chant or, engage in religious practices before the handover of the Sengol, आपको तकलीफ क्यों हो रही है जब अजमेर दरगाह पर चादर चढ़ाई जाती है? When the Prime Minister visited in April the Syro-Malabar Catholic bishop head, you did not have a problem.
Respond, Mr. Srivastava. And more than that, this constant refrain of, this is an imposition of Brahmin ideology, Brahmins are called in, other than being divorced from fact, this is akin to hate speech, Ravi Srivastava. You can't keep demonizing a community, injecting your brand of casteism just to whip up a frenzy against a community or a caste. Ravi Srivastava.
Your perception. I have not said any such thing. This country belongs to all religions, all
sects, it does.
All castes.
Who has said it doesn't? Who has said it doesn't? For starters, you start out by saying, Adinams are Brahmins, hence you are trying to impose Brahminism on the ceremony. No such thing happened. No such thing. In fact, the most stupid argument to have been made is about casteism, considering, Riju Srivastava, that the Prime Minister himself comes from a backward caste. You had an OBC Prime Minister participating in an event with Shaivite priests, and then it's being called one great Brahminical ceremony. How foolish are we turning in our arguments? Riju Datta.
I just want to say, I have nothing. The Trinamool Congress has not objected, never ever, to the Sengol or to the Pujas or to the Yagnas or to the Havans or anything. But the reason why we oppose what we oppose is because the walls of the parliament is for the democracy, and the only book that rules the walls of the parliament is the Constitution of India, and not some religious text, whether it is the Bhagavad Gita, whether it's the Quran Sharif or the Holy Bible. What we are trying to say is that we are not against an auspicious occasion of the inauguration of the parliament, but we are against the BJP's propaganda of Hindutva inside the parliament. It was not needed.
How is it a
and why
Hindutva
I say
propaganda?
that is because Prahlad Joshi, the parliamentary affairs minister...
How is it Hindutva propaganda?
Prahlad Joshi, the parliamentary affairs minister has... I'm telling you, the Prahlad Joshi, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister of India, has put a tweet. The tweet is there, Padmaja, you can see, where he has put a picture of Prime Minister Modi doing a Shashtang Prananam to the Sengol, and he has tweeted in Kannada, and the exact translation is, prostrations to the scepter from the king of the land. This is what we are against. Those halls of the parliament do not belong to any religious leader.
So, sir, first about the scepter and the king, we'll come to in a second. Can you explain why you saying it's a Hindutva agenda? When you had the Quran being recited, you had Gurbani being recited, you had a rabbi present at the spot, how exactly was this Hindutva agenda? Would you care to explain? What is the Hindutva agenda exactly?
Okay, again I will explain it to you. The religious seers, the Adinams, they came a day before the inauguration of the parliament. They met Prime Minister Modi, they blessed him, they chanted Har Har Mahadev, they gave the Sengol to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister gave a speech. Then there was a multi-religious prayers that were offered within the campus of the parliament, all done and dusted. What was the need for the next fanfare? This Modi, Modi, Modi. Because BJP has turned into a
How is it Hindutva agenda? Okay, let's first be clear about rituals and religion. Explain to us, Mr. Sampath Kumaran, the handing over the Sengol, is it a Hindutva practice or is it a practice which is cultural? Let's be clear about the difference between the two. Mr. Sampath
It is purely a cultural aspect. The Sengol is called in India, and that is especially in Tamil. And when you go to other countries, it is named in different names. How can that be a Brahminical part in that Sengol part? Sengol is just the symbolizes the transfer of the king dynasty from one to another. Earlier in 1947, when the Britishers moved away from India, they transferred the entire government to the Indians. So while doing that, this Sengol was given by them, through them. So then that is installed in the parliament.
So you are saying that this got nothing to do exclusively with Hinduism or Hindutva, Mr. Sampath Kumar?
Can I add one sentence, Padmaja?
May I come in, Padmaja?
Yes, go on. Riju Datta.
Padmaja, may I
One sentence, I just add one sentence. The unfortunate part of that inauguration event was that India's final descent from a constitutional democracy to a theocracy is complete.
All right, theocracy. Sanju Verma.
Very unfortunate.
Okay. You know, Padmaja, we are all aware of this famous Supreme Court judgment of 1995, which says that Hinduism is a way of life. It is not merely a religion. You know, you will be surprised to know that as recently as 2016, there was a petition filed in the Supreme Court by Teesta Setalvad. See, she actually contested this 1995 judgment, saying that Hinduism is pure religion and it is not a way of life. And the Supreme Court dismissed Teesta Setalvad's petition, saying that it is indeed a way of life and is well within 123(3) of the Representation of People's Act 1951, and practicing your religion by a public representative does not mean that he or she is not secular. This is a 2016 judgment in response to a petition by Teesta Setalvad. Point number one. Point number two, I ask one thing. Even if Brahminical rituals were followed, dikkat kya hai? I remember when Palghar sadhus were lynched in full public glare with 200 policemen standing there as mute spectators. Not one of these people who are giving gyan today from the opposition how India's secularism has been throttled because Prime Minister Modi did a Shashtang Pranam. आप कहाँ थे भाई साहब जब पालघर साधुस को फुल पब्लिक ग्लेयर में पीट कर मार डाला गया? Where were you, Riju Datta, when Mamata Banerjee appointed Firhad Hakim as the member of the board of trustees of Tarakeshwar temple? He was removed after a whole lot of hue and cry. Where was the Congress when Udit Raj posted a tweet? His All India Parisang, which is a Dalit body, posted a tweet comparing Brahmins to pigs, and he actually showcased a pig wearing a Janeyu. Was there any hue and cry? No. Are Brahmins any lesser mortals? And I want to tell you one more thing. If you read Article 14 and 15 of the Constitution, they talk about right to equality and no discrimination on the grounds of religion, caste, creed or birth. Is Prime Minister Narendra Modi a bona fide citizen of India? Does he not enjoy the benefits of Article 14?
And just by the way, the picture that you had put out, the TMC put out, the Chief Minister no less put out, Riju Datta, seems to suggest that, oh, where there used to be accomplished politicians earlier, now there is just a bunch of priests who surround the Prime Minister. The truth is that a day before, just a few hours before, in fact, you had a meeting of the Governing Council of the Niti Aayog. Had the TMC decided to participate in it, you would have been a part of that picture as well. So what has changed? It's not as if there used to be politicians and administrators in 1947 and 2023. There are only priests surrounding the Prime Minister. He is still surrounded by the leaders. He is still surrounded by chief ministers. Riju Datta.
My two humble submissions. Number one, this is 2023. This is not 2023 BC, before Christ. Number one. And number two, I am a staunch Hindu. I don't need my religion shoved down my throat. That is the issue.
Sir,
here.
nobody is shoving anything down anyone's throats. But there should be a difference. There should be a difference between being factually correct, making factually cogent arguments, and just engaging in divisive rhetoric. Professor Naval Kishore is also joining us now from the RJD. Sir, don't you think injecting a caste angle, talking about Brahmins, is nothing short of hate speech? The Supreme Court, no less, has said that hate speech must be booked. To randomly go out and say, oh, these Adinams came, which means that Brahminism is being imposed in the country, it's nothing short of hate speech. Professor Naval Kishore.
No, what is more important to look at it, that the whole process of inauguration of the new parliament has reflected that it has demeaned all kind of democratic values. And that is what bothers all opposition party who has boycotted. There is nothing else is more important than the democracy itself. If the present dispensation and the political party which is in power is hell-bent on destroying all democratic culture.
How can anyone bring in a religion and a caste angle is my question.
No.
Isn't this creating divide in society? To create fault lines based on caste, religion, it makes absolutely no sense. Let me actually play out for you a couple of rituals that were observed. When you have the Quran being recited before the actual inauguration of Parliament, how can this be about one religion or one community? Listen in.
وخلق الجن من مارج من نار فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان رب المشرقين ورب المغربين فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما
Advocate Adil Hasan, isn't equal representation given to all religions, 12 of them in fact?
मैम, माई लीडर वेरी कैटेगरिकली टोल्ड कि प्रधानमंत्री ने जो किया है वो गलत किया है, लोकसभा के स्पीकर के साथ उद्घाटन कराना था और उन्होंने साफ साफ कह दिया। और जो कल भी नजारा हमने देखा,
अफसोस हुआ जब प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी ने सिर्फ एक ही मजहब के लोगों को लेकर नई पार्लियामेंट बिल्डिंग में दाखिल हुए। वो मजहब की बात लेकर के आए सर, ये डेमोक्रेसी की बात नहीं थी, ये मजहब की बात थी।
मैम सुनिए, अच्छा सुन लीजिए मैडम, बुलाइए तो सुन लिया जाए। उन्होंने पहले कहा कि लोकसभा स्पीकर के से होना चाहिए, जो प्रधानमंत्री ने उनको भी नहीं, उनके हाथ से भी नहीं करवाया, ना राज्यसभा के चेयरमैन से करवाया, ना आप इतना दलित उत्थान की बात करते हैं, आदिवासी उत्थान की बात करते हैं, हम लोग के ट्राइबल कम्युनिटी से राष्ट्रपति
महोदय, आप मजहब की बात क्यों लेकर के आए हैं ये बताइए ना।
तब भी आप
ये चीजें तो आप बोल रहे हैं, आप मजहब की बात कहां से बीच में लेके आए?
हाँ बोलिए, सुनिए पद्मजा मैम, सुना जाए, जरा धैर्य रखिए। जब वहां पर अगर कोई क्रिश्चियन कम्युनिटी के भी प्रीस्ट रहते, कोई हिंदू कम्युनिटी से रहते, मुसलमान से रहते, कोई सिख कम्युनिटी से रहते, प्रधानमंत्री चारों को लेकर साथ जाते, तब लगता कि भारत के प्रधानमंत्री सभी समुदाय को लेकर जा रहे हैं। जिस तरीका से प्रधानमंत्री ने एक मजहब को डोमिनेंस वहां पर दिखाया, इससे अफसोस होता है। लेकिन एक चीज देश ने देखा कि 3 घंटा में उन्होंने 2 कपड़ा जरूर बदल लिया।
सर, चार मजहब नहीं, वहां 12 मजहबों के लोग थे। आपको एक्चुअली सुनाती हूँ, एक जैन मुनि है वहां पर, यहाँ तक यहूदी भी थे, यहूदी रैबाई भी थे वहां पर। आप सिर्फ हिंदू मुस्लिम सिख ईसाई की बात कर रहे हैं, आप जैन मुनि को सुनिए, जो वहां पर जैन मुनि थे, आप उनकी बात सुनिए।
देखिए, सचमुच में पूरे भारत देश के लिए एक ऐतिहासिक दिन है और पार्लियामेंट के अंदर एक ऐतिहासिक, अद्भुत, अलौकिक, अनुपम पल हमें देखने को मिला, जब हमने देखा कि सर्वधर्म प्रार्थना हो रही है और धर्मदंड को, राजदंड को पुनः जो है उसको उचित स्थान मिला, ऐतिहासिक स्थान मिला।
विभिन्न धर्मों के गुरु यहाँ उपस्थित रहे, उन्होंने प्रार्थना भी की है, पर हम एक जनता को संदेश देना चाहते हैं कि हम पहले यहाँ भारतीय नागरिक की हैसियत से यहाँ उपस्थित हुए हैं, क्योंकि भारत ऐसा एक देश है, खास करके यहूदियों के लिए, यहूदी धर्म के अनुयायी भारत में 2000 वर्षों से रह रहे हैं, और भारत ऐसा देश है कि कभी भी उनको एंटीसेमिटिज्म एंड परसिक्यूशन, छल कपट का सामना नहीं करना पड़ा। इसलिए मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ, जननी जन्मभूमिश्च स्वर्गादपि गरीयसी, जो माता आपको जन्म देती है और जिस देश में आपका जन्म होता है वो स्वर्ग से भी महान है। तो मेरा यही संदेश है कि भारत की संविधान का हमें सम्मान करना है, और भारत हमारी मातृभूमि है, ये हमें भूलना है।
एडवोकेट आदिल हसन, आपने रैबाई इज़ेकियल इसाक मालेकर को भी सुना और आपने जैन मुनि डॉक्टर लोकेश को भी सुन लिया। अब एक मजहब के बारे में कैसे हुआ?
जी बहुत अच्छा, वो सभी लोगों को, सभी 12 लोग को साथ प्रधानमंत्री ले जाते तो वो अद्भुत नजारा रहता ना मैडम। सिर्फ एक समुदाय के प्रीस्ट को आप लेकर जा रहे हैं, सभी को 12 को लेकर जाते तब और अद्भुत होता, भारत की खूबसूरती और बढ़ती। भारत की खूबसूरती एक धर्म नहीं है ना एक मजहब है, भारत की खूबसूरती यहाँ पर सब धर्म है। यहाँ हर 50 किलोमीटर पे भाषा बदलती है, लोग धर्म, यहाँ पर एथिस्ट भी उतना ही संविधान में अधिकार दिया है।
सेंगोल की स्थापना के लिए भी रैबाई को ले जाना चाहिए था, और जूइश उनको भी ले जाना चाहिए था, जैन मुनि को भी ले जाना चाहिए।
सब जा सकते हैं।
अच्छा, संजू वर्मा, सिर्फ ऑल फेथ प्रेयर्स आर नॉट इनफ, ऑल ऑफ देम शुड हैव बीन टेकन इनसाइड फॉर द सेंगोल्स इंस्टॉलेशन आल्सो। एवरीवन शुड हैव वॉक्ड इनसाइड पार्लियामेंट।
Padmaja, you know, we all come here and we say कि, you know, Article 25 of the Constitution, मुझे पता है जब हिजाब की कंट्रोवर्सी चरम सीमा पर थी, I mean, spokespersons used to come on every debate and say that hijab is about religion, not about choice. And Article 25 of the Constitution की दुहाई लेकर रोज भाषण दिया करते थे बीजेपी को। Article 25 of the Constitution says every citizen has the right to profess, practice and propagate the religion of his choice. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi, being the bona fide citizen of India, the first elected citizen of the country, as much enjoys the rights under Article 25 as you, me or anyone else on this panel. और मुझे एक बात बताइए, आप बीजेपी को इतना भाषण दे रहे हैं, जब ईद होती है प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी सभी को विश करते हैं। आज तक ट्विटर पर असदुद्दीन ओवैसी हैज एन ओपिनियन ऑन एवरीथिंग अंडर द सन। आज तक असदुद्दीन ओवैसी ने हिंदुओं को ना दीपावली पर, ना दुर्गाष्टमी पर, ना होली पर, ना राखी पर, ना रामनवमी पर, किसी भी ओकेजन पर विश तक नहीं किया, मुबारकबाद तक नहीं दी।
सेक्युलरिज्म इज अ टू वे स्ट्रीट।
भाषण मत दीजिए।
आदिल हसन,
मैम संजू वर्मा का प्रवचन सुनने नहीं आए हैं। हम संविधान को मानते हैं और प्रधानमंत्री कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पोस्ट का शपथ लिए हैं। प्रधानमंत्री मिडिल ईस्ट जाते हैं, वहां के मुसलमानों से इतना गले मिलते हैं, लेकिन भारत के मुसलमानों से गले मिलने में इतना हिचक क्यों होता है? कभी भारत के मस्जिदों में प्रधानमंत्री को जाते नहीं देखा और ट्वीट करके मुसलमानों को एहसान नहीं।
ये मतलब नहीं है कि आप जाकर के मस्जिद में बैठ जाए, इसका मतलब ये है कि हर किसी को इक्वल राइट्स मिले और हर किसी का रिप्रेजेंटेशन हो इन अ रिप्रेजेंटेटिव डेमोक्रेसी। दैट्स अ रियली स्ट्रेंज डेफिनेशन ऑफ सेक्युलरिज्म। कल को आप कहेंगे कि आप जाकर के मंदिर में भजन करना शुरू कर देंगे सेक्युलरिज्म के नाम से।
पद्मजा सुना जाए, मैंने प्रधानमंत्री को, वो प्रधानमंत्री अपने निजी आवास का उद्घाटन नहीं किए, वो लोकतंत्र का मंदिर है जो बाबा साहब अंबेडकर ने हमें
इसीलिए वहां पर 12 कम्युनिटी और 12 फेथ्स के लोग थे सर,
आवाम का है,
इसीलिए 12 लोग थे वहां पे, इसीलिए वहां शबद कीर्तन भी हुआ, इसीलिए वहां पर आपका कुरान भी पढ़ी गई, वहां पर मंत्रोच्चारण भी हुआ। इसीलिए
निजी संपत्ति नहीं है, वो भाजपा की संपत्ति नहीं है, वो भाजपा का पैसा नहीं दिया हुआ है, वो देश का पैसा है, वो मेरा पैसा है, वो आम जन नागरिक।
बिल्कुल आपका पैसा है सर, पर उस पे आपकी डेफिनेशन ऑफ सेक्युलरिज्म नहीं थोपी जाएगी। एनीवे, आई विल गिव द फाइनल वर्ड टू प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर नवल किशोर। डॉक्टर नवल किशोर, इट इज वन थिंग to talk about, whether the speaker should have been there or the president should have inaugurated, but when a religious angle is given to something like this, isn't it an extremely low and divisive attempt? Why drag religion into something like this?
The BJP has been architect of initiating and practicing the religion into politics. Who do not know this in this country, that BJP, the whole rise of BJP is on the basis of mandir. on the basis of Hindutva, on the basis of use of religion to mobilize
this
people.
This is about parliament. It's not about a mandir.
In the parliament, that is why I'm saying the parliament, the prime minister or the government should have been more constitutionally provided the process of it. And if you go through the constitution, the president has the first right to inaugurate. He was neither there both the time. So what does it say? That you want to do the things which suits your political agenda, and not only agenda, it is propaganda.
Well, sir, you call it agenda and propaganda, but the lady on whose behalf you are professing to speak, the president herself had her address read out, and she said that since the prime minister represents democracy, she is happy that he is the one inaugurating parliament. Anyhow, I'll leave it at that. Politics is the job of politicians, but when you try and get a divisive narrative, it's not just limited to politics. It will impact, it will harm the very fabric of society. Thanks very much, all gentlemen. Sanju Verma for joining me.